In the past few years, young Kashmiris have started to speak up and own their narrative. Those who want peace and development, those who care for Kashmir's future, do not want this chance to go away this time. But more than anything else, this attempt by them appears to be about ensuring that Pakistan's stooges do not have the hold anymore over Kashmir's narrative. In the latest, this video is going viral. She's a young media person by the name of Miryana who compares herself to Nobel laureate Malala Yousafzai. But the comparison is not boastful, it's a reality check. She denounces Pakistan's propaganda against India and asserting her own safety and freedom that exists in Kashmir, which is an integral part of India.
I am not a Malala Yousafzai because I am free and I'm safe in my country, India. In my homeland, Kashmir, which is part of India. I will never need to run away from my homeland and seek refuge in your country. But I object to Malala Yousafzai defaming my country, my progressing homeland by calling it oppressed. I object to all such toolkit members on social media and from foreign media who've never cared to visit Indian Kashmir, but fabricate stories of oppression from there. I urge you all to stop polarizing Indians on grounds of religion.
The video also has two important points. Miryana urges people to come visit Kashmir in India and decide and see for themselves. Then she also rightly exposes the toolkit members who never visit the Kashmir Valley but are constantly demanding against India. She's urging such people to stop polarizing. Toolkit basically means that a set of pattern of words and views are distributed and asked to be pushed on the social media specifically. So Miryana says, just stop maligning my country now. Basically, some background for you. Malala Yousafzai had written a series of tweets in 2019 after the abrogation of Article 370, which was a special status. Malala Yousafzai claimed that all rights of Kashmiris, especially women, have been curtailed, taken away. I quote from some of the tweets. I'm deeply concerned about reports of 4,000 people, including children, who have been arbitrarily arrested and jailed. 4,000. How did Malala Yousafzai, such a big name, arrive at this number? What was the source? But then she went on to add, and I quote her here, girls are afraid to leave their home presently in Kashmir. Afraid of who? And then she asked the United Nations General Assembly to intervene, basically take action against India. So the event that Miryana was recently speaking at was hosted and organized by the UK Parliament. So it gains immense significance, putting your perspective on a foreign soil and for the Western world to know. Because for the longest time, same or similar Western universities was where Pakistan narrative about India's Kashmir was dominant. Indian voices were not even allowed. They were not encouraged to put forth their perspective. Only those who would speak against army and speak against India were constantly invited. Those who dared to counter were immediately bullied into silence and isolated. But how times change when awareness and support comes for those who want well for the Kashmir Valley. For example, Kashmiri youth leaders Mir Junaid and Tausif Raina, who's also an elected member and serves the people in Kashmir, were invited to speak at a panel discussion in Washington, D.C. And while they were speaking, they were heckled by Pakistan activists who were posing as Kashmiris, because the theme was Kashmir, from turmoil to transformation. And how could Pakistan or anti-India network let such a truth bomb be dropped in the Western world? I would in fact say that many young Kashmiris, especially from the Muslim communities, have started to speak up against terrorism and targeted killings. Earlier, when it was clear that a Hizbul or a Lashkar recruit has killed someone innocent, there was complete silence. Now, many among the younger generation who are nationalistic, who believe that this moment should be unlike the 1990s, will come forth and protest at the Lal Chowk against terror action. They will show that they stand in solidarity with the Hindu minority who are still being selectively killed by jihadists. Many of them are vocal on social media with these views. And remember, even today in Kashmir, to speak against terrorists takes a lot of courage, and they are taking that chance to speak up for the betterment of an inclusive Kashmir. Kashmir has remained a standard narrative for the prime ministers of Pakistan as well as of the army to divert attention of its citizens from the country's political and economic woes. This was from an article written by young Kashmiris in the ORF and also to reflect that the youth is watching the changes and development in Kashmir and now want to participate and contribute for the same. I would say that social media that was once used by Pakistan's stooges to radicalize the youth of Kashmir, sending crores of rupees as funding to incite youth and keep the valley burning. The same social media has now also exposed Pakistan's reality to the Kashmiris. The videos that we are all now witnessing of massive protests that have been ongoing in Gilgit-Baltistan, in Pakistan-occupied Jammu Kashmir, from Balochistan to across the country, and that even recently ahead of elections show what actually Pakistan is becoming. Let's do a quick comparison. Protests and violence in Pakistan, highest tourist presence in the Kashmir Valley. State violence in Pakistan, cinemas opening in Kashmir. Education suffering in Pakistan, Kashmiri youngsters winning competitions one after another across the world. Pakistan's economy is in a mess. India is rising up the economy ladder. Who in their right mind would want to join Pakistan right now, a country that does not mean well for India, despite constant efforts to resume peace initiatives, and it definitely does not mean for their own people? Kashmir's history dates back 5,000 years at least. A rich culture of Shaivism. Historical texts show how Hindu rituals of thousands of years and then later followed by Buddhism were respected across the world for their knowledge. Even after Islam's arrival, a certain Kashmiri ethnic identity was always followed, irrespective of religious boundaries. There was a shared culture and language due to that ethnicity. But ahead of the 1990s, radicalization by Pakistan went unchecked. It was their unfinished 1947 mission. And because this radicalization went unquestioned and seeped into the society, and then it was too late. But are these incidents signs of coming together of hope that Kashmir culture possibly has started to triumph, in which Pakistan has been told, we may have our differences in Kashmir, sure, but we will deal with it. And Pakistan does not get to interfere anymore. Many Kashmiris are realizing, and just in time, that Pakistan's culture is not their culture, not their identity. And if that ethnic identity and traditions can or will continue to thrive at all, then it is possible only with India. Which Kashmiri from Pakistan-occupied Jammu and Kashmir have you seen flaunt their Kashmiri identity? Sindhis and Baloch constantly are complaining how their colorful ethnic identity is being overpowered by the larger Pakistan religious identity. Here you see Kashmir and the Indian identities simultaneously exist. Now, let's also be very clear. Not everything is normal in Jammu and Kashmir, of course not. Terror threat is still on. Minorities are still targeted. Much more needs to be done for the opportunities and development, not just for Kashmir, but for the people of Jammu region and for the people of Ladakh. But are there initiatives taking place? I'm sure you will say a yes to that. Cricket legend Sachin Tendulkar recently spent days with his family and across the Kashmir Valley, especially in Pulwama, South Kashmir, which was once called the hub of terror acts. But with Tendulkar visits, interacting with the local residents, playing with the famous willow bats, it is a message that not only is the situation improving, but people are on board, at least those who want peace and change. And after his promotion of the local willow industry, reports are surfacing that there is more awareness and surge in demand for the willow bats, which are very popular, from Kashmir. Who does it help, if not the local residents of the valley? I hope young Kashmiris can see that Pakistan pushed in narcotics, ruined not just India's peace, but also of the Kashmiri people. That Pakistan's support was never for Kashmir, or their Kabalis would have never killed and taken Kashmiri women hostage as war booty from Jammu and Kashmir and especially Baramulla in 1947. And on the other hand, India and Indians have always meant well for the Kashmiris, always did and always will, wanting them to thrive, succeed and proceed as one. Now, at this moment of change, Kashmiris will have to decide. The fact is, a lot of responsibility now rests on this present generation. If the Kashmiris decide to return to the dark days of curfew, hartal, killings and missing people under Pakistan's promise of a separate, independent, free Kashmir, then nothing can stop them to do that again and go against India. Similarly, if today's Kashmiris decide to unite and ensure that here on Kashmir works toward peace, progress and prosperity, become a comparison to the big world cities, then nothing can stop them from that either. On that note of hope, thank you for watching.